Shred! Welcome to You Guys Shred, when you meet your first producer in a Costco, when your Airbnb is covered in Jesus, guns, and crosses, and when you write a song called Zombie Apocalypse at 15. I am your host, Keaton Stewart.
I'm your co-host, Tyler Christensen.
And if you guys like what we're doing and you want to support the podcast, please subscribe, share, and review. It means the world to us. You can check out our own musical project, Poet Bones, on all your preferred streaming platforms. And you can check out our merch at poetbones.com. Today's guest is a very talented, lovely human being. She has a new record out called Uninspired. We talk about all things Costco. And you know what they say, sex, drugs, and Costco. Please enjoy Cera Gibson. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Usually we start out with how we know the guest, but we're meeting for the first time here. So maybe we just start out with how you started out in music, like where did it all start?
Oh, damn.
I know, yeah. It goes deep. We go deep real quick. You're like, so it started when I was 8.
It started like straight out the womb.
My mom was humming.
She was. I was feeling the beat, the vibe.
Well, she was screaming, but...
Yeah.
But in key.
That's where my love of metal came in, actually. Yeah. But no, it actually did start when I was really little. Like from the second I could conceive of what music was, I was into it. And specifically the Wizard of Oz. That's really what catapulted everything. I would like grab a potato and go sing against this bush in my backyard, all forlorn, somewhere over the rainbow.
Wait, like the potato's the microphone?
No, like in the movie, she's holding a potato singing in her farm for whatever reason.
I have not seen that movie for long enough. Holy shit.
You need to
I
check it
watched a
out.
different Wizard of Oz.
Well, like her auntie gives her a potato. I mean, the potato's not important, but
I don't know. I'm kind of interested in
pretty
the potato.
important.
You can't just like skim over the potato.
It's not important, but that's the one thing I remember about holding.
Yeah,
You know what they say, potato, potato.
I had to be accurate about it, potato, potato. Exactly. No, I had to be accurate. I had the whole thing, the outfit, the potato, and I would sing my little song, and I did that for the longest time, and then my parents were like, okay, we need to get her into like choir or something.
Toto?
Yeah, I had my little Toto in a basket as well.
Oh, I thought you had like an actual dog named Toto.
Oh,
cool.
no. That would be sick.
So your parents are actually, because I feel like this is an interesting bit where, like, if you know who Dave Grohl is, his mom wrote a book where they interviewed all these different moms, and the thing that they all had in common is that when their kids got interested in music, they had one parent that's just like, yes, like they encouraged them into lessons or anything. So your mom was like, let's get her into choir, let's get her into singing, like religious choir, or
that's kind of how it started. It was like child's choir, religious choir, take me to church, precisely. And thankfully, both of my parents were supportive because my dad's a musician, my mom's an actress. So
perfect.
Neither one of them expected me to take on any sort of standard career.
That's awesome then that it's like the opposite, because most parents are like disappointed when their kids take up arts. Oh, God, mine. And then instead, on the flip side, your parents are like, yes, she's into music, she's into something, and they support it fully. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So it was great. And I mean, I just kind of like I did plays and musicals and choir for a really long time. And then Hold
on. You can't just skip over that. What musicals?
Like Wizard of Oz, obviously.
Beyond the Wizard of Oz.
No, it was nothing freaking cool, man. It was like The Music Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like the worst one.
Yeah, and because I was so tiny, I was the smallest human for so long. I was always getting cast as like some little kid or, a tree. That just like, I was told.
You can't no leading roles.
No leading roles. I was like, they're like, we can't have someone who looks 9 and is 14 play the leading role.
Yeah, you can be 14 and look 9.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how Disney work, isn't it? Right? So from that point and getting involved in musicals and choir and stuff, when is it like, okay, I'm kind of finding my own voice, finding my own music, and creating and writing my own songs? When does that start?
So that started in middle school because I got real broody and I started listening to, like Foo Fighters, Nirvana. I listened to a lot of metal, and I was just like, it just really spoke to me. Yeah, I would literally, this is bad, allegedly, I would steal CDs from the library, and then I would rip it onto your computer before the iTunes and stuff. Yeah, and I wouldn't take them back. My library card, I had such bad fees that I couldn't rent CDs anymore because I would keep them too long. So I just took up theft after that. But that's where it all started.
Yeah.
As long as you don't
crime.
say which library. There's probably some librarian watching this right now and be like,
allegedly.
she's like, you know how much money she owes us? It's okay. Compact discs don't
It's probably only
anymore.
like $35. But when I was,
Doesn't it
13,
accrue over all these over these years? The adds on
I looked into it, and the interest rate is 1.5%.
for a library?
For yeah,
Oh yes, you
Or
probably
for
owe a
library
couple hundred.
fees?
it could be. It could be after 15 years.
I think we all owe some money to our libraries.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way we don't all.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, I'm admitting to crimes on the podcast. It's all chill, but
We'll just bleep out all of that.
yeah, please. You just.
No, it's fine. We'll keep it in. Keep it in. We'll cover the bills if it comes.
I think there's a statute of limitations.
We'll give you the $35.
Yeah.
And I was a minor, so whatever. But so I started listening to all of that, and I just started writing this broody ass music that actually freaked my parents out, because I was writing about like the Reaper and the devil and stealing my soul, that kind of shit, and they were just like, oh no, especially being Mormon, it was like a little freaky for them. So during that time, they put the brakes on the support just a little bit.
Okay, so we like that you're doing what we want you to do, but you're not doing it the right way.
It's a little too satanic.
Yeah.
I think that's what their thought process was. But
and then just like the sacrificed lambs on the ground and stuff, they just weren't into that.
Yeah, they weren't into that, like the blood ritual stuff.
The blood diamond.
Yeah, blood diamond. Well, that's a good segue, because like I refined it a little bit. Like I feel like I've kept all of that, and like even during that time, I just like refined it, and it wasn't as like hardcore. So when I was 17, I showed my parents a few songs, and we were not like at all wealthy, but my grandma had passed away and she had left a little bit of money, and they heard my songs and they were like, we should actually just get these recorded. Like, why the hell not, when I was 17?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
It was
That's
sick.
really supportive.
Yeah, it was very supportive. So we met a producer in Costco, actually. He was demoing the pianos, and he had connections with RCA Studio A in Nashville.
And Costco.
Which very
sponsored by
significant.
Yeah, that's the connection you want to have.
No, absolutely.
Kirkland brand, man.
Yeah, Kirkland brand music recording.
Kirkland Studios.
Kirkland. But yeah, we went out to Nashville, recorded in that studio.
What's it called? Sorry?
RCA Studio A.
Wait, what? That's where Elvis recorded.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
It was
at 17.
beautiful. At 17. But the
From
caveat
Costco to RCA. That's the episode title. From Costco to Nashville.
Yeah.
From Costco to Nashville. The only issue is because I was only playing my guitar. I didn't have like this solidified vision for my sound. And it was like the second I got there, this producer was trying to change everything that he had initially thought was cool about my sound. And I had told him, I'm like, I don't want to be a country artist, like no shade. I don't want to be Taylor
mold
Swift.
you all into that. I hate that. Like, I can already picture it. It's like, so this is what's hot. This is what's going on. Taylor Swift, you have to be like her. Is that
absolutely.
What
he would take Taylor Swift songs and break them down with me, and then compare my songs as to why they weren't as good as her songs. I'm like, I wouldn't necessarily expect my songs to be as good because she has like a bunch of writers and she's been doing this for a while or whatever. But I also just felt that my voice as an artist was so antithetical to Taylor Swift that to like mold myself into that would be miserable for me.
It ruins it for you. Like, so it's like, that almost taints the experience then. You're like, I'm in Nashville, RCA, and then, yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I mean, the thing I got out of that, so what happened is we started working with him when I was a minor, and my parents signed a contract in lieu of me. And now knowing what I know about, like, legalities of work, I could have gotten out of that really easily. But I didn't know that. And so they signed me into this like terrible contract that lasted 4 years, like this exclusive recording deal.
And there's not like a non-disclosure you can talk about this?
Yes, I can. It's been a long ass time. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But there is no.
We've had that before where we like have to cut a whole thing.
No,
Look, we can pay the library fees, but we
can't
pay these.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Library fees, yes. That's something.
A lawsuit? No.
We're not Joe Rogan yet.
No, there's no non-disclosure agreement.
Okay,
no, we're totally fine.
We're good.
He actually didn't
Fuck
protect himself that well. Yeah.
Fuck your Costco piano.
Yes, fuck you. But yeah, so I was just in this really crappy contract, super young. We didn't record all the songs that we had planned on, and the ones that we did, like, it was not at all how I'd envisioned. Like, I met the president of ASCAP and showed him my music during that time, and he made like this very small, not even like critique, like a suggestion. Like for one of my songs, he's like, it would be interesting to see what this sounds like in the third person. And I was like, okay, I guess that'd be an interesting exercise. But then my producer took that as like, all your songs should be in the third person.
All of them?
All of them. And I was like, what?
From now on, you only refer to yourself in the third person.
Oh, yeah. No, well, he was like, it's not as empowering when you're talking about yourself, but if you're like, you know, she's not to be messed with.
Well,
I'm
Cera
like,
doesn't like this.
Cera, the royal
Sarah's
we.
getting mad.
Sarah's getting mad.
Miss Gibson don't like.
Exactly. But that week, I remember we were in this gorgeous studio, and I was, you know, freshly 18, but we're in this gorgeous studio, and there's all these studio musicians, and me and this producer are just yelling at each other in there, and he's like screaming at me, and this is a man in his 40s screaming at a kid.
I feel like we're skipping forward here. So why is he's screaming at you because you're like, I don't want to change.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do my own thing. And he's like yelling at you.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, I never threw this, but I'm like, you're not like we're paying you for this. Like, it's really weird that you will not listen to anything I say. Yeah.
Do you have some sort of side contract where he gets like something on the back end from you if you pop off?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, that's why he's like, I'm making money off of you.
Yeah, he's like, I got to make you commercially successful.
Exactly.
For my own benefit, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So at that point, he doesn't care what you think or what you want. He's like, I just want you to be successful so I can make money.
Exactly.
So did you just cut ties, or am I jumping forward?
No,
so
cut ties.
Come back here. So you're yelling at each other in the studio, and studio musicians are watching this unfold. You know, like, geez.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I have a tendency where when I'm I can be confrontational. I'm not gonna lie, I can be pretty confrontational. But at the same time, like, I was 18. He was the adult in this situation. Never at any point tried to de-escalate. If anything, he was always escalating it. So we have this terrible argument. I'm feeling defeated. It's like, and now I'm gonna sit down and record a song. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And the studio musicians were my saving grace. They're like, okay, we'd already done a few songs, and they weren't how I wanted, but it was too late. But they were like, okay, for the rest of the song, Cera, how do you want us to record them?
Oh, that's nice. Nice
so,
of them.
Yeah, we got a few songs that I actually liked. And that part of the experience was really dope. And my producer softened a little bit after that. It was still frustrating. And then afterward, what happened is, unfortunately, and like, I don't want to put my parents or anybody on blast, but the funds that we had, like, were no longer present. And so because of the nature of the contract, I was financially responsible for it.
Oh, yeah. That blows.
It does. And so I was working like 3 jobs.
At 18?
Yeah.
Oh, that blows.
Yeah. So, 3 jobs, trying to get this paid off. He was calling me at like 2 a.m., screaming at me, being like, you're taking food out of my kids' mouths. And I'm like, I'm not their provider, dude. Like,
Oh my God.
I'm a kid myself. And that lasted, 4 years.
Until you finally got out of that.
Until it was out, and we actually ended it a little prematurely. I didn't get the masters to my songs or anything like that.
So you don't even own any of that.
I have 2 songs that I have the master wave, but I didn't have the masters to anything else, or I'll never see those songs, and I also don't own them. So it's.
That blows. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We highlight the lowlights. Yeah. That's for sure.
I mean, not that it's a good thing, but I guess silver lining is that you kind of got that out of the way, and now at this point, you kind of have less of an opportunity to be even more grandly screwed over.
Yeah, I do think it's unfortunate though that the majority of people that are getting screwed over are kids. They're the younger kids, and they just take advantage of people. It sucks.
Yeah.
It does suck, but I agree with your point. At first it felt life-ending, because then I finally got out of this at 21, and I'm like, holy hell, I lost so much time, and my friends were already getting close to graduating college and stuff, and I'm I'm starting from
have
scratch.
Nothing to show for technically.
But after that, I decided to learn how to produce and just start working with my friends that were producers and went a completely different direction and really educating myself. And I found that experience was so invaluable, because there has never been a time where I felt taken advantage of again because I fully got it out of my system. Like I can spot it a mile away now. I know what to look for in contracts, even without an attorney. That's a red flag and things that I don't want to deal with. And so it ended up being a blessing in a weird way.
Yeah.
And it happened so young that I feel like it didn't throw me off all that much, you know?
Well, at least,
that's where it
at least you got
started.
to learn from it, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of going back a little further, I know you're a multi-instrumentalist. So, what one was your first piano, guitar, or it was, like, what was your first instrument?
My first instrument was piano, but I hated it because I was forced to learn
I
it.
was wondering that because I was like, I feel like everyone in this state, their parents, like, if you know piano, it's because your parents forced you to learn piano.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they hated it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
when you
yeah, there
have
it
to,
is.
it's like, I don't even care if I like music. Like, this sucks.
Yeah. I wish I had learned piano. But,
But you
like,
look back at it and you
I
say
would have hated
that,
it if I
but
would have been forced to learn it.
Yeah,
so.
you don't want to practice
Yeah.
your skills.
It has to be your idea. Yeah.
Very true.
But I learned piano, and then, when I was 12, I got a guitar. That's when I got real broody and, like, in my Nirvana phase. And guitar was my main instrument for a really long time until actually a few years ago I picked up piano again. And I honestly play piano way more than guitar now.
So you do thank your parents for that? Yeah. I feel like everyone kind of does. Yeah. Like learning a second language or
I
something.
mean, sometimes
like
they know, sometimes they know what's best. But
yeah. Sometimes.
Not all the time.
Not with Costco dudes, you know.
Yeah, the
dudes in
Kroger
Costco
recording
Don't-
agreement.
You can't trust anybody you meet at Costco. Those guys selling knives.
Notoriously. Oh, no.
Scam art.
Knife
Scam artists.
salesmen.
Apparently.
The blenders.
The blender.
Fruit
It's always
Ninja.
fucking blenders, right?
Getting sick from free samples.
Oh.
So your most recent album, Uninspired, which was like the 5-song EP, that came out this year. I mean, I guess it kind of came out towards the first of this year, right?
Yes,
February.
pretty early on.
So do you have any like new music in the works then, you were kind of saying then?
Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff I've been working on. So I've been pivoting just slightly in terms of subject matter because for the longest time I was like the sad bitch, you know what I mean? Like everything's sad and broody and I love it. But I'm not in that space anymore. And recently, like in the last year and a half, I have amassed a bit of a following on TikTok. And it's all centered around this very like strange tongue-in-cheek persona that I have that has been called Mommy Daddy. It's been dubbed that way. Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean?
So it's kind of like that play off of like Dom Mommy or Dom Daddy, but it's all in a very comedic way. And so I wrote some songs that, are a little bit more tongue in cheek, but still like very me that fit into that. And it's like a way where I'm trying to like bring those audiences together. So that's
fun.
the new stuff.
And
I'm
create
gonna
some
be
new
putting
things
out.
out of that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, Uninspired is a great album, by the way. I'm
Thank
sorry, I
you.
just skipped over that. But so, Uninspired, it kind of makes me think what is like the whole idea behind the record and like the cohesive behind Uninspired.
Would you say what inspired Uninspired?
Yeah, I was gonna get there, but I wanted to kind of build up to it. So thanks for just taking the rug from underneath me. But it's okay.
Rolling right through
Spotted
it.
a mile away.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the dynamic. So Uninspired was inspired by just a really devastating breakup that I went through a couple of years ago. We broke up, and 2 days later, our house flooded, and we lost almost everything we owned. And I lived in a hotel for a month. And during that time, I was writing this music.
Oh man. Yeah, that's actually. I mean, it sucks once again, but good stories coming out of these things. So.
Yeah.
How long did it take to make that record then?
It took some time because I was in like a really weird headspace. So that happened at the end of 2019, and then the pandemic happened. And I actually had all this music that I was planning on releasing, but it just didn't like speak to me anymore necessarily. And it wasn't quite the direction I wanted to go. But it took me a while to like get out of the funk of that relationship ending to where, and the funk of the pandemic, like Lord have mercy, where you can't play shows, like the thing I loved most that I was doing every single week, like could not do that. So it took me a while to get out of that funk. It took me about a year. And then at that point, 2021 rolled around and I just started going back into the studio and getting those songs recorded and finally had them all done and released them in February. of this year.
Because I was going to say, I know that you had a couple singles in that 2021 there, and then I think Crush Velvet was 2019, right?
Yeah, Crush Velvet was 2019.
Did that like come out and then you were instantly working on this new stuff and then the flood and all that happened?
So that all came out. I was working on this new stuff, some of which I did put out in 2020, like Sad Bitch and this other song, Idea of Me. I also put out Oops, I Did It Again, that cover. And I had a bunch of other stuff, like 4 or 5 songs. And then all of this went down. And my entire like creative direction changed with that whole situation. I also felt like with all of the social unrest that was happening, I felt really weird releasing music during that and like self-promoting and doing this whole thing. It just didn't feel in alignment at that point. And so that was part of the reason why I waited. And then by the time all of that had passed and we're rolling into 2021, I just connected more with all the sad shit.
So I guess speaking of like the sad shit and the writing process, something that we like to kind of dive into is that creative process and going like, so when you coming up with a song, is it just like most people, you know, comes to them out of nowhere? Do you start with lyrics? Do you start with the guitar or piano? How does like a song start for you?
It depends on the song, to be honest. Like sometimes lyrics will just come to me or a particular subject matter comes to me and then I write down like bullet points of what I want to hit in the song in my phone. And then I'll sit down on my
and change it to the third person.
Yeah, and change
I was just going to say that.
Make sure.
First off, every song is in the third person.
That's like the big, like, bold letters at the start of your notes. It's like, make sure this is in the thing.
I'm sorry, you were on. I went for the joke. So,
excellent.
So it's for the bullet points.
She, not me, and then. But yeah, so I'll have like bullet points, and then I'll sit down at the keys. I'll find a chord progression that I like, that I feel like fits it, and then it just kind of comes out of me. Like I'll figure out what I want to say in the first verse, what I want to say in the chorus, what I want to say in the second, because I like to have that full story with like a beginning, middle, and end. But then sometimes I'll be sitting there playing and then it just rushes out of me that way as well. So I think
that's the best. I love when it just comes out like
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize. So you kind of have, like you said with the lyrics and stuff, you're like, I kind of already have a mood.
Yes.
Or a vibe that I want to hit. So then when you're hitting the keys or when you're everything else, you're like, I already know where I want to take this.
Yes.
Versus me, who would just like, will fuck around until I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's that.
I do that too,
and then I just follow that. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess it's fun to do all kind. It would be weird to do it the same way every single time, but
yeah, it's not always that methodical. But I've been traveling a ton recently, and when I'm on the plane, I don't know what it is, but I'm like looking out the window and like things just come to me, and that's like I get my bullet points down and I go home and I write something.
I do find traveling very inspiring as well. I don't know why.
It is.
Well,
like anytime I go away and then you come back, it's like just songs.
Well, I feel like that's even true. Like when we practice at your house versus at my house, I feel like anytime you're in a different space, it kind of just puts you in a different headspace.
Yeah, I mean, even coming back to like the RCA studios and like the different places that you create music, it is weird how rooms and places have a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And like just traveling, it's kind of like when you're driving. I feel like your thoughts just like flow more, or like when you're on a walk. Because sometimes I'll write songs in the car. Like I'll find a great melody, I record it into my voice memos on my piano, and then I play it in the car, and I'll come up with lyrics and a melody in the car listening to the voice memo.
I wonder if it's like what is it where you like when you're driving and you like check out? What is the term for you like go on autopilot?
Yeah.
I wonder if that like helps you get into a different like subconscious that helps like access those things, because you're not having to worry about driving. You're like, I'm just going straight, and then you can just think about stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that on a podcast before too, where they're like, with like having phones and stuff, there's no more like silent moments to yourself or thoughts.
No.
As soon as you're like in a spot and you're awkward, you're like looking at your phone and doing whatever else, versus when you're like forced to sit and think by yourself, that like actually where the ideas will flow and things happen. So maybe when you're on the plane, you're like, I got nothing else to do, or when you're driving, which kind of brings me do you ever get like writer's block?
Not much anymore, but I also don't try to force writing. I kind of like, if so I have changed the way I do things. Like there's this idea in the industry and just in our society in general, that you always need to be grinding.
Yeah.
You always need to be doing something. But I found that if I'm trying to grind through periods where I have a lack of inspiration or I'm tired, I don't get anything good out of it anyway, and then I'm more tired. So it's like it doesn't end up being productive. So now I'm really committed to, when I'm inspired, being like, okay, nothing else matters. I am just going to focus on creating. I do that with like my online content, with my music. And then when I'm not, I just don't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Because if you force it, I feel the same way. Because when you force something, it's like never good.
Oh,
like it never comes out
rarely,
well to try to force it or to like,
Or you
I
finish
agree.
it and you like, I don't know, you kind of resent it in a way. You're just like, I don't even like this song anyways. Why did I never gonna play this song?
And I don't know if you do this as well, where sometimes you're feeling inspired and you get like somewhere in a song and you're like, but I don't really know how to end it or anything. So you just kind of give it some space and put it aside and then come back to it. Have you had any of those songs?
Often, yeah.
Can any of them come to mind that have been released?
Actually,
like is Sad Bitch like one of those ones that just came really quick? Or?
No, I actually wrote that song 4 times.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you had to rewrite it.
I had to rewrite it. So the first time I wrote it, so the song is actually kind of about like a frustration with the industry and having to be marketable and like poppy and like
Meeting guys in Costco.
meeting guys in Costco.
I have to keep coming back to it. It's so funny. It's so weird that you met him at a Costco.
I know. Well, I had red flags. Like, we don't need to go back, but the second I met him, I had a weird feeling about him, and I told my parents, and they're like,
Can you
he
kind of
just has
describe what he looks
anxiety.
like?
So he's a
You
he
said
looks like
40-year-old
he's
male.
from Harriman. So he's got like the long hair and the beard and the cowboy boots, and he's like really tall and
Okay, so you're typical kind of Nashville-looking dude.
yeah, a
Okay.
typical Nashville-looking dude.
All right.
Okay.
But I got red flags not because of his appearance,
Just
but a
vibes.
very unassuming appearance, but just the vibes, the way he was talking, it felt like he was love bombing me. Like, do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
And-
I'm sorry. Can you
No,
describe
s-
to me, or also for anyone else listening as
Totally.
well?
So like love bombing in a relationship is where when someone like overflows like the love really early on in the relationship to like get you connected to them and attached to them.
Oh, and then when
and
you
then
are
later,
attached.
they start to pull it away so that you're like, no, but what was that? I need
Mm-hmm.
you. So it felt like he was bolstering me so I would attach myself to him, and then he like pulls away so I think I need him. But I don't operate like that.
That's weird.
I'm like, oh, you're
That's,
being
yeah, that's very
Yeah, it comes across as
manipulative
fake,
and-
like immediately. So
That's
Exactly. So that's how I felt. And I didn't know that term back then. So I
Mm-hmm.
told my parents, I'm like, it seems like he's being like fake nice and weird. And they're like, no, he's just nice. And I'm like,
that's just everybody at Costco.
that's just everyone at Costco.
yes, yes.
That's
So,
the Costco culture.
So, I mean, most people that we have on this podcast are like bands, because obviously a lot of people doing projects and stuff are in bands. But
Yeah.
For you, it's just you. You know, you just to perform on your own and you have your own kind of thing. So is that weird, or has it always been that way? Like, I know it can be for me being on stage. It's already like nerve wracking enough, but at least you have your friends with you on stage and you have some kind of stuff. Is it weird just being up there by yourself, or you've always had any stage fright, or?
I haven't had stage fright in a really long time because I've performed so much at this point. Because, I mean, you know, all the plays that I did and then open mics,
The Music Man.
karaoke. Yeah, the Music Man.
The Tree number 3.
Yeah, the Tree number 3 is Seussical the Musical.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so all of that, I haven't had stage fright in a good number of years. But during 2019, I was actually incorporating more of kind of like a band on stage with me. But I had a little bit more of a band vibe. And then when the pandemic happened, just everyone that was in my band, they were going different directions, which is totally chill. So I went back to performing just with a DJ. That's what I do right now. And I love it, to be honest, because I have a hard time getting out of my head sometimes. And when it's just me, I can kind of like have this meditative moment where I'm like fully feeling the music and it's like feels like my little world on stage. But I have started looking at incorporating band elements again. So like I just got a drummer and a guitarist, looking for a keyboardist, and then we'll have my DJ and me. And it's because like, especially in Utah County, being a solo artist can hold you back at times. Like there's this perception that it's like less professional or something.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like my live shows are giving just as much, I'm trying to open up some avenues to play like different types of events and venues and like festivals. It's hard to get into festivals as a solo performer.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I unfortunately haven't seen you live yet, but I've seen all the clips and I've seen all the different things that you share on social media. And it seems like when you are by yourself, you're very comfortable. You have like a whole cool performance. You always have fun outfits and things. So I was just kind of curious, did you always have that in mind? Like we were talking earlier about how the other dude was trying to mold you into Taylor Swift or whatever. Did you always like, no, this is kind of what I want to do. These are the styles and vibes that I want to put out. Have you always had that, or did it come later?
It's kind of evolved on its own. So I always wanted to be like a little rock and roller, a little punk rocker. Like when I was 18, the side of my head was shaved. I had bright red hair. I wore like spikes. That's what's the funniest thing is when someone's telling you need to be the next Taylor Swift, looking at someone that looks like that. I'm like, okay. And obviously I don't look like that anymore, but I think I always just had this like deep commitment to being authentic. So like whatever that looked like at that period of my life or now or like through this process, that was my commitment, was to be authentic. I didn't want to be putting something on and then down the line I burn out of it because I'm not like in alignment with myself. So, you know, for a long time I would just perform in like a trench coat with a baseball cap on when I was just with my guitar. I did that for a couple of years, and then slowly like my style of music changed, my performance changed, and so now I'm wearing all these like crazy sequin outfits and stuff, and it's a completely different vibe, but it's still authentic because it's changed as I've changed.
Right. Yeah. I think it comes across as really cool because I mean, I don't know if you ever repeat, but it seems like every time I see you on stage, it's like a different outfit, which is cool, like Elton John or whatever else, where it's a different thing. It's not just like this is my one thing and I just wear it every show.
Yeah, I switch it up. It's my one thing. My uniform. That's not bad either, though, because that's what I want. Like with the trench coat and stuff, it was like my uniform, and it was easy.
It sounds cool, though. I mean, how I'm
fun.
picturing it with the trench coat and was it like a tan one or a black one?
It was a tan one.
And then like a white baseball cap, or
I would switch out the baseball cap on occasion. I had a ton.
Cool.
I had like.
Did you wear it backwards or forwards?
Some either. I would
That's
switch
awesome.
it up.
I like it.
Yeah, as I came out of my shell a little bit, I would pull it back a little bit more. But I had like a collection of like, I still have some of them, like 14 baseball caps, and a lot of them I would spend a lot of money on them. They were like Supreme and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is so funny.
Yeah, so it's not like baseball cap. It's like
a
nice hat.
A fancy one, Patagonia, whatever.
That's cool though.
Yeah,
Kirkland.
it was fun. Kirkland. Yeah.
Yes. So you recently just went on tour, and kind of the main emphasis of the podcast is like bad tour stories, funny show stories, that kind of thing. Do you have any of those from that tour? Or?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that tour was freaking awesome. It's the first tour I've ever been on, and so overall, fantastic experience. Like sold out a few stops.
That being said,
yes.
Oh, I was going to say, the first stop you sold out, right? That's really cool.
Oh, it was unreal. Well, that's the crazy thing is like finding these, like the interaction my music has with TikTok, even though sometimes it's not fully apparent that they do coincide. Most of my shows that have sold out have been because of TikTok.
Interesting.
So where was that first one that sold out?
It was in Colorado Springs. Yeah, so that was really sick. And then sold out Boise. But Idaho Falls...
This is kind of where I'm from.
Is it where you're from?
I'm from Rexburg, which is like right next to it.
Shit,
so,
yeah.
Let's hear it. I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, the vibes of Idaho Falls are not bad, but I was playing at this one venue that used to actually be like a big metal venue in like the 80s, but now it's kind of termed...
The Gem?
It's called now.
Oh, yes, I know where that is, yeah.
Yeah, but it used to be something totally different. But yeah, now it has like an arcade and like a little cafe and like the little stage area and all of this stuff. So it was like interesting.
It's a whole different thing.
Whole different
vibe.
thing.
Yeah, there's a different vibe from a venue to like a pub.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a pub. Like it felt like I was performing at Lagoon or something, which is...
Oh my God. So even more than, I was going to say like an arcade.
Yeah, just like if I was like on a backstage at Lagoon. That's kind of what it felt like because all these kids are running around screaming. and I was
Table 3, your pizza's ready.
Table 3, no, literally.
Why is it always pizza place?
I don't know why. It is. Musicians play at pizza places, okay?
Oh, I almost did recently, but almost. But yeah, no, these kids are running around screaming, and I'm thinking, I'm like,
while you're playing?
Well, while I'm setting up, and I'm thinking, I'm standing up there, I'm like, do they know the type of music I make? Because
you're like, who booked me?
Like, I literally say pussy in one of the songs, so I'm like, I don't. Like, I'm gonna have to censor everything. I'm thinking about the backing tracks have backup vocals that say like every word, and so I'm like, all right, we're just gonna have to skip a bunch of songs and do some songs I don't normally perform, and that's fine. So I perform. There's some people from TikTok there, very sick. A lot of local people that were just kind of like, they were staring at me like I was like a circus. Like,
so they just happened to be there having dinner or with their family or whatever.
Yeah, there were about like 80 people there having dinner and just like what is even happening? I'm wearing a ridiculous outfit, you know. And so I perform. It's great. We're taking it down. The guy that owns that place is awesome.
Was it like 30-minute set or like an hour set?
It's like 45 minutes. Yeah. But we're taking everything down, and these 3 drunken middle-aged cowboys,
of course,
come walking over to the stage.
Oh, and you're just probably thinking like, oh, here we go.
Oh, I see them and I'm like, oof, I'm in danger. And so they're walking over and they're like sloshing around. They're like, we missed the show. And I was like, oh no, like, sorry, you guys. And they're like, no, I was trying to see the rock star. And they're like, are you the rock star? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm the rock star, man. And they're like, no, we need a song, please. Will you sing? They're like, do you know any rock music? And this dude's like, she doesn't know rock music. And this other guy's like, she might. I don't know how old she is. Maybe she's got a cool dad. And I'm like, I'll sing you a rock song if you want. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'll sing you something a cappella before I finish taking everything down. And so I ended up.
Oh my gosh. You're like, but you're going to have to give me $20 each.
$20.
Yeah.
You didn't pay for the ticket.
You're going to have to give me a hefty tip for this.
Yes.
But no, I sang Mother by Danzig a cappella.
Wow, you're really nice. I would have told him to fuck off.
I like performing.
Okay.
And, center of attention. I was just kidding. Okay. But no, I sing it, and they were super stoked, but I could see like a look in their eyes coming over them as I was performing, like they were about to get really inappropriate.
Oh,
and so I'm done, and they're just like, can I touch your hand? Like, can I shake your hand? And I'm like, okay. And so I shake this dude's hand, and he's like, whoa, you've got really small hands. And I'm like, yeah, it's been said. And as I'm removing my hand, he's like, I wonder what my dick would look like in that.
Wow, such a classy pickup line.
Fucking cool, dude.
So classy. And like the owner's like, all right, dude. And my DJ's like, probably small.
Good.
He's like,
I'm glad somebody stepped in, but
probably small. And he's like, oh, I'm not saying like, he's just like, I'm just wondering like what it would look like. And I'm like, dude, I don't mean any offense. I say that to everyone. That's how I socialize. But yeah, I was like slowly backing away, and he was like, but you're so beautiful. I'm like, thank you. I was like, great. I'm like, okay. And this is the shitty thing about this though, is like my DJ can say that to him because he's a dude, but I never feel like safe being like mean to people in an unfamiliar place, Like if he said that and I was alone, I probably still would have been nice to him because it feels kind of threatening. So I was pretty stoked that I wasn't alone in that moment. Because he was even waiting by my car. Like when we were loading up, he was waiting by my car to like
fucking God.
Call me hot again.
I'm sorry.
It was weird.
We recently had on, there's this Irish singer-songwriter. She's does her own thing as well. And she was over here in America doing her first tour when I was in Nashville, and I got to catch her set.
Very cool.
And we did a podcast with her, and she was kind of talking about the same kind of thing. And it sucks so bad, and I'm so sorry for you. Because she was going into it as well, where she even would go into talking about like how even when she would like go to, because she plays guitar as well, she like when she would go to set up her gear, that the sound guy wouldn't even like let her set up her own gear. They just assumed she didn't know what she was doing.
Ew.
Yeah. So it's like, you think that it sucks because you feel like we're moving forward as a society and like getting past this kind of shit, but then you say shit like this, and I hear this, and I just you guys have to go through so much more shit.
It's
and
a lot.
Sucks, and I'm so sorry.
Oh.
So hopefully just us talking about it and people listening to this fucking will get. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's
Jesus
fucking weird.
fucking Christ.
Yeah, no, I hate to say that I'm used to it, but I am used to it.
Which you shouldn't have to be. That's what sucks.
No, I don't feel I should have to be, because it's hard, because it's like I do kind of have like this sexed up vibe sometimes. But
that's it's
no excuse.
Yeah, there's no excuse whatsoever.
No, but it gives people this idea, and especially like, on stage I'm a much bigger version of myself. Like on TikTok I'm a much like more like a bigger version of myself. And when people that are fans or whatever, like follow my stuff, interact with me, it's so strange, because I feel like so normal all the time, and so like just in my own little world. I don't even think about this, and then once in a while someone will recognize me, and they have a very strange concept of who I am, and they think they can be a lot more forward and touchy with me than you would ever be with just anybody.
Any stranger that you just met for the first time.
Exactly. And it's because they have this idea, oh, she's like all provocative and forward, I can just like touch her and say weird shit to her. It's
Don't
very
do that.
odd. Don't do
Don't do that. I mean, I guess since we're already kind of on this subject, and like I said, I've been a fan of yours and been following you for a while. I imagine just like how shitty that would be in person. Obviously, that takes more people doing it in person, but when you're behind a wall, you're on your phone. I imagine it gets even worse, because I feel like you've had some stories too where you've like, which makes me always laugh, because like, you fucking people send you dumbass messages, screenshot that, throw that up, and call them out, which is amazing. I love. It always makes me laugh, but it's like you probably get a bunch of shit like over TikTok and shit too, don't you?
Yeah, but the funny thing is when it's behind that wall, I find way more humor in it, because to me, like, it's not a direct threat. So when someone says something insane like, please step on me, mommy, and ruin my life, and I would love to pay for your used socks, and like all this crazy shit, it just makes me chuckle. I'm like, whatever, like go off, like live your best life, that's fine. But when it's in person, it then feels dangerous.
Yeah.
Because here's this man that I don't know, like being like, oh, you're a dirty little freak, aren't you? In a Walmart. And it's like, no. Yeah.
Is that really happened?
Yeah, that has really happened to me. Yeah. It's really weird. If they scream, they'll be like, Sarah! And then they'll be like, do the voice, because I do this mommy voice on there. I'll say like weird shit in that voice, like the fitness gram pacer test. Yeah. That's my whole shtick. And so, yeah, people will ask me to say that in public, and sometimes it's normal, and then sometimes it's like, I'd love you to give me jerk off instructions in that voice.
Yeah, some people just don't get it.
Yeah, it's wild, but I think it's typically older guys that are acting
and
like
they're
that.
probably white. Yeah.
Yeah. White older guys are the ones that tend to do it, and so I think like the younger generations are making a lot of progress, but I mean people in like their later middle age and up are still in that mindset, and now they have the internet, so they can just like spew that to everyone.
And I'm not making excuses for these guys either, but I don't think it helps that you're in like a crappy middle of nowhere town.
Yeah.
Because they're allowed to do whatever they want because they own the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't help. Yeah. But
no, I take that into consideration too. I'm like, this is just like,
It just sucks for anybody that lives there near them.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that. Fuck.
It's okay.
So embarrassing though.
I always feel embarrassed for them a little bit. I'm like, if you could see yourself as everyone else is seeing you, you would be horrified, I think.
Yeah. Dude, I love that there was other people around that called them out, though, and you're not just, like, forced. Because, like, I hate, even in, like, say, like, a work setting, like retail, when you're like, I'm just trying to do my job, and I'm back. I can't fucking do anything about it. That, like, I've seen that before working at, like, music stores where I had to be like, dude, you're being a fucking creep, cruise. Like, get out of my store. Because it's like people just like you said, the older generation, they don't fucking know. They're just so clueless. They like, if you heard, like, if I recorded you and you heard that back, you really think you would have said that?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Or like out of context. Like I always think it's funny, like when someone sends me something insane or says something insane to me, I'm like, what if I just like, you were getting married and this was like played in the middle of your wedding? Like out of context? Yeah. Like that would just crystallize how insane it is if it was to be heard in a public setting like that.
Jesus Christ.
But, people, I feel like I don't necessarily like owe them my outrage or my kindness, so I just try to like ignore it and not give them that satisfaction. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you're listening, don't do that.
Yeah. Please.
Pretty fucking simple. Don't be a creep.
Yeah. Don't be a creep.
It's pretty easy. Just don't be a creep.
Yeah.
On a lighter note, was there any other like fun stories, like any like equipment malfunctioning, any like what were you guys traveling around in a car, van?
Yeah, we were traveling around in my Honda Fit, this like tiny little hatchback.
I guess that's the benefit of not having like a whole band though, because you don't have a bunch of gear and crap. You can go around with just a DJ and I guess whatever your DJ has, but it's not as going to be as much as like a drum kit and guitars and all that stuff.
No, my costumes took up a lot more room.
So was there any like flat tires or anything like that?
No, we got really lucky. Thankfully, I take really good care of my car, so I don't have like any issues. Yeah, like let's hope. But nothing crazy like that happened. Just overall, it was actually just such a fantastic first tour. The people were really welcoming. We had really good turnouts that I did not expect. Or like weird venues, like Casper, Wyoming was by far the most terrifying place I've ever been. Like the next
so many ghosts.
Evil Dead is definitely going to be there. It was just like driving through the neighborhood to the Airbnb. It was just like lined, like it had like rainbow flags with X's in them. Like we're that anti-gay that we were putting it in our front yard.
And you're like, this is what I stand for. What are we doing here?
No, I was like, me and my DJ are like, we're about to be hate crimed. And we walk into this house, these people were very nice to me, but we walk into this house for this Airbnb we were staying at. And there was a flag on the wall that
said... In the house? In the Airbnb?
Well, but it said this. It said, God's guns and glory. And it had Jesus with 2 machine guns crossed in front of him.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, whoa, this is a different land than I'm accustomed to.
Wow.
I know.
This is not the Casper I saw on TV as a kid.
No, this is not the same Casper. Very different.
Is there a Costco in Casper?
I would honestly be surprised. Okay. There's not a lot.
But so you walk in, you see this flag, and you're like, oh, I'm in trouble.
Oh, yeah. I see the flag. I'm immediately very, like, thrown off. I also didn't know I would be staying in this house like with so many other like their whole family.
Oh, so it's like the Airbnb where you can like because obviously there's the different ones where you rent the whole house and no one's there, but then I've done it before where there's like they live there but you rent like a room.
Yeah, so I was like renting the basement and for whatever reason I thought there'd be like a separate entrance, but there wasn't. And then like the room, like me and my DJ, like on occasion, like we were getting like king beds and just sharing them. And this bed was so small. It was like it wasn't even a full, like it had to have been a twin, I guess. But we were like, there's no way we can sleep on this bed together. And all in the room, there were just like crosses. There was like weird Jesus paraphernalia everywhere. Yeah, you gotta live. It wasn't even live, laugh, love. It was like little like cutesy like rifles, like artistic decorative rifles and stuff, and then just like crosses and Jesus things littered about the room with this tiny little bed, and it just looked fully like we were gonna get murdered. We couldn't fall asleep until like 3 a.m. because we were so weirded out being there. So we were supposed to be there for 2 nights. We ended up just getting a hotel room. So we didn't have to stay there. But
I don't blame you.
But the show was freaking great. It was at a brewery there, and everyone was awesome. Someone that was from Scotland and was in town came to see me.
That's tight.
And I was like, what? I have fans in Scotland? She's like, you do? And I'm like, what? That's so cool.
That's way cool, though. So I mean, it's not only cool going to like these places you're touring and then having people, because they're being there for the first time and seeing all these people like coming out for you, but then having somebody from a different country, like that's tight.
That was very cool. So the experience as a whole was really lovely. We also went to a dinosaur museum there.
Ah, I did see pictures of that. Yeah, your DJ's head in the T-Rex.
Yeah. That was fun. I had a good time.
Was
it was
that
a nice
Casper?
Little break. It wasn't. I was just outside of Casper. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that area is like known for dinosaurs.
Yeah, it was just at like a little college over there. Yeah.
That's good that you had a good time though, and it's crazy. I mean, most people first tour, at least for us, anytime we've done tours, like they're crappy, right? You know, you have like no sold out shows. So
well, I waited a long time to be honest.
I guess that's true. But it's cool that you have like people from the TikTok and social medias and stuff showing up and whatever else, but
that helps quite a bit. Yeah.
TikTok's king these days, right?
Yeah.
It is. It's a weird platform, but it's like almost necessary if you're trying to be like a mainstream kind of performer, like if you're trying to be commercial in any way, which can be frustrating, but what can you do?
Yeah.
The kids want what the kids want.
And it's mainly Costco keyboards.
Exactly.
All right, I'm just kidding.
All right, that's it. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So what do you remember like your first show then? I mean, obviously you did the plays and stuff.
Yeah.
Was there like a first show when you're performing by yourself or band or whatever? When was that?
So I did like voice recitals and stuff, but the first like venue, it was an open mic at Pat's Barbecue in Salt Lake.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a little barbecue place. I sang my song and I messed up one of my songs because it
Wait, pull back. Pull
Okay.
back. Is there like a corner stage that's just a pallet in the corner, or like what's the
No,
setting?
It
like,
actually has a full-on stage. Like
Oh,
it's
so there's not,
built for live music.
So it's not like where the people are just eating barbecue.
I mean, they
whatever?
are.
Okay.
They're eating, but it's like there's a stage in front of them.
And so it's an open mic, so you just show up and put your name on the bill? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that was when I was 17, and I finally like got the balls to perform my songs live.
Before or after the
Before.
Nashville? Okay, so it was before Nashville. Okay.
Yeah. Before. And so I had 3 songs that I was going to sing, and one of them had this high note that I was still like massaging out a little bit. And in my room, I could hit it, but with the nerves, it was just kind of a lot. And so I hit that note, and it was like, like it was just fucked. And I was like immediately like, oh my God. But I just kept going. I was like, whatever. Yeah. And afterward, my now vocal coach, she came up to me and she's like, I can fix that for you. One session, I promise. She's like, you have a great voice. And she was right. One session.
Did she just happen to be there eating barbecue?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
she was
you
there.
still work with her to this day. That's so cool. And she's just over there eating wings. It's like, that girl
She
sounds
changed
good.
the game
Meet
for me.
your producers. A barbecue place is not a Costco.
Yeah.
Come on, people.
That's what you need.
Lesson
Those
learned.
are the real.
Did
ride
she
or
give you a
dies.
contract?
No.
Okay, yeah. So there we go. That's the lesson. No contract.
An exclusive
Was she wearing a
vocal
cowboy
coach.
hat? Mm-mm. Did she have a beard?
You look nothing like it.
She did have Kirkland brand. I'm sorry. Yeah. So so you did the 3 songs, you do the open mic. From that point, when's like the next show? So were you inspired or like put down by that, like missing the note or anything? Or you're like, you knew from that, you're like, this is awesome, I want to keep doing it.
Well, I was inspired because aside from that, everyone's reaction to me was like really positive. Okay. And I'd performed like in school talent shows. You know, I'd always performed, but this was different. It was like my thing.
Right. It's not like a function that other people are there. You're actually going to do a show and then people are like seeing, yeah.
Yeah, people are seeing it. So it wasn't like I was just like plopping myself in. Yeah. So, people really loved it. I had this really weird song that I wrote when I was 15 called Zombie Apocalypse. And it's about like...
I want to hear it.
Like if the zombies don't kill you, I will type of thing.
I want to hear it. Do you have it? Did you record it?
It's not like fully recorded. I have a video of me singing it somewhere when I was younger.
So going from like the open mic, when was the first show where you're like, this is so like, you know, tons of people and like reactions and everything, when you're like, this, I can make a living off this?
Well, the crazy thing is even when I was playing shows, because I mean, even just a couple years ago, I was still more often than not playing shows to like 12 people, you know? And so that never dampened my motivation because I just felt like, well, I'm not going to do anything else. Like I literally love this and I feel like I'm good at it. So I'm not going to stop. But the first show that I really remember, it was actually right after I got out of this freaking nonsense contract. When I was 21, I did a show at that like little club in the complex. Have you guys ever been to that?
I was really kind of hoping you'd fuck with us and be like, so I was doing this little show at Costco.
At Costco.
In the complex.
In the freezer section.
Because in the complex, there's like the Rockwell, the Grand, and then the bar. Is that what it is? Is that the one? The smaller
so
bit?
there's like this little back like club thing, and I can't remember what it's called. In the complex. I didn't even know it existed.
Is that not the bar? Is it the bar that...
The bar?
Like when you walk past...
Yeah, when you walk past, there's a... I don't know if that's always been there, though, because I remember playing, like, back there in 2012 with Black Veil Brides, and it was just, like, the Grand and then the Rockwell. There was no... I don't remember a smaller spot.
Yeah. Anyway.
Is it newer?
I mean, this was, like, 6 years ago, and it wasn't new then.
But
so
you discovered it that day.
Yeah, I didn't know it existed, but I'll have to double check on the name. But it was there, and I played with a few other local people, and yeah, it was packed. And that's when I was like, holy hell.
But
like,
was
this
it
can
one of
actually
those
be
like you
dope.
didn't know it was going to be packed? You just showed up and it's packed?
Yeah.
That's the best feeling.
I like really nagged all my friends to be there. I'm like, please. And so like all my friends came, but then the other bands, all their friends came and their family came, and it was just packed out. And I felt like I performed really well. I could like feel the energy of the crowd. It was the first time I'd ever felt that like reciprocity from me to the crowd and the crowd back to me that fuels you. And yeah, that really, I was like, okay, I have a vision in my mind of what I want this to be eventually. And so, you know, now that I do get to play really big shows from time to time, it's just cool to think back on that and be like, oh, we did get there.
Yeah, that was like the starting point from there. Because you play at like the Metro a lot, right?
I play at Metro a lot, and I play at the Complex pretty frequently as well.
All right.
Yeah.
So when's the next show?
So I'm actually, I took a little break from shows to finish up the music I'm working on and to kind of put together that band and like revamp my live show. So the next show will probably be a release party for my next song.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to go to that. That sounds like
Please
really
do.
fun. Yeah, with the whole band and everything.
It'll be really
It'll
fun.
also be the debut of the band, right? Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
It'll
it
be good
will
to be
be.
at.
Yeah.
So when's are you going to start doing with the new music singles as well and then the album?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to sprinkle in the singles first, kind of see how it goes. Because it's way easier to market one song than an album. And I like to have an idea of like what the listeners are gravitating to before I put it out as like a full project.
Interesting. So based off of that, would you change anything for the album? Like, okay, maybe this song doesn't work on the album anymore because they're liking this vibe, or?
I would change I might change the song I focus on the album. But if people like really didn't like a particular song, then yeah, maybe I wouldn't include it in the full
On the
body of
album,
work. Yeah.
okay.
But I also will do like This Is Crazy and not like super like artsy and inspiring, but I'll do like focus groups as well, like
Okay.
with people on the internet to kind of be like, what of this do you like? What do you not like? What
I
stands
like
out
that.
to you? All of that. Because it's like once I have everything that I like, I have all these songs, I love all of them, tweaking them or like changing the placement of them in the listening order or whatever isn't a big deal to me.
Right.
So do you?
I think that's so cool though, because then
Thank you.
I assume they're fans, or is it friends? Fans and friends?
It's a mix. I try to stay away from friends because I
Okay.
feel like they're less objective.
Right, they're just going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah, so
guess,
I
in that
will
sense,
put like something out on the internet. Like I'll make like a Google like survey type of thing.
Oh, okay.
And make them sign
That's such a good
NDAs.
idea.
Yeah.
I love that because then the fans or the people that are like listening to music, they get to be a part of it. They like feel like, oh, I helped kind of be a part of a little piece of helping this become something. That's cool. I like that.
I was just gonna ask, have you been using kind of TikTok as well to, like, kind of tease new music? Because I notice a lot of artists are doing that. Like, they'll kind of tease a song, whether it's just like in the background or just a short clip or something, and use that to kind of get some.
Traction.
I absolutely do. That is also, I kind of view that as like a focus group as well, in a way, where I will put out things that are not done yet, just like little snippets or like playing it on the piano just to see how people react to it. Because like not every song I'm going to put out with the purpose of it like achieving virality, but it is very helpful if a song can achieve virality.
And you know from the TikTok before you even release it. Smart.
Yeah, so I will know which one has like I've only recently started doing this because this was the crappy thing is I put out Uninspired and then I immediately went away for 2 months to work on a project that I actually can't talk about yet. It's very sick, but I couldn't really be on the internet all that much or like do much of anything or it would give away the project, right? So it just really lost steam because I had like this whole plan, but with the nature of the project that I was doing, the timeline for when I was going to do it kind of got messed up. So I didn't get to. So
meaning that project will never see the light of day?
Well, no, it will. I'm saying that Uninspired, I didn't get to go through my plan the way I had intended to like really give it like the legs that I wanted to give it.
Because of this non-disclosure
project. That's going to be sick and very worthwhile, and I think it'll make up for it. But
what can you say?
Can you say
it?
when that project will be?
It gets pushed back because of the nature of the industry, but it's likely going to be like the early part of next year, so probably January, February. I can't give you a name, but I can say that
off camera.
It's television.
Oh,
so,
shoot.
Very cool. But I can't say anything else.
All right.
Yeah.
It's British Bake Off.
Yeah. You guys didn't know I'm British and a baker.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
It's MasterChef Junior, actually.
So I'm hosting MasterChef Junior from now on. It takes place in a Costco. Fuck.
No, I'm a contestant on MasterChef Junior.
That's pretty cool. You heard it. You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Unfortunately, someone's gonna. How funny would that be? Someone listens to this and they're like turning it on, like she's not on here. What the fuck? Just like have That's so cool.
That'll be fun.
Television.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really sick, and it definitely
But for
I
2
think
months.
For 2 months, yeah. I was
give some hints.
away. I can tell you guys when we're not on this.
Well, I feel like it gives me some hints.
Yeah.
If it's 2 months.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
so
it'll be very cool.
next year, 2023.
Yeah, it'll either magically happen in December or it's gonna be 2023.
Okay. That's
So,
awesome.
they'll give me like 3 different timelines. I'm like, I can't really do
you don't
anything
even
with any
know.
of this.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but that's kind of how it goes.
You 3 different timelines.
They give me you're like, ooh.
I'm trying to figure
put
out
on
like
your-
ways
put
around
on your
you saying
monocle.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know I have a monocle? How'd you know this eye's fake? It's because I got it at Costco.
Yeah.
You saw me there.
It's dipping down.
If there's not a
Costco
Costco tour
jokes.
at some point.
Yeah,
it'd be
I think
sad.
I'm gonna have to incorporate Costco into something.
Or you do a TikTok at Costco and send it to us, and we use it for this.
I actually might.
That'd be pretty fun.
Hell yeah.
I think
You're
I
just
might.
don't say anything. Just go into the. Do they still have pianos there?
I've seen them.
And you just see there in Costco playing it. You don't say anything.
Yeah, do like
and
a
either
tiny-
you get it or you don't.
do a Tiny Desk concert
I
in
like
Costco.
that.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Just without even
With a
asking
new
them to-
band.
That would
That's how
actually
you
be
know it's a new
such a good
band.
idea, performing in Costco. I'd have to get permission though.
I don't know. It could be like one of those things where like
Like a
the
flash
flash
mob?
mob. Yeah, where you just show up and then people are like, you get your friends maybe just on your phones, but like people like walking by's reactions of you playing. They're like, "What the heck? That's really cool." You know, like people where they put the pianos in the airports and stuff. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, and then I'm just like on a no, like you can't serve me list forever. I can never go back to
Just the
Costco.
They just
samples.
cancel your Costco.
Whatever, dude. They would love that. Like that's free press for them.
They're like, now you have to pay $200 for your eye exam.
You can't prove that I'm in Costco. Okay, it could be a Sam's Club.
This could
you
be-
don't know that. You
Could be
don't
a
know.
set.
Oh, you'll know.
You'll know.
You'll know. Yeah, they all look the same, don't they?
Because the
Shit.
pianos are kind of by like the deli. I feel like the deli is so distinct.
What?
And the
Costco.
playgrounds and slides
Yeah.
and like kayaks and stuff.
I think
he knows.
I mean, try it, see what happens. What's the worst that happens is what are they called? Cease and desist.
Yeah.
That's not so bad. You just take it down.
That's not so. She wants to maintain her relationship with Costco, man.
I do.
You're
They've
like,
been
how
an
many
important
contracts do I have
part
to
of my
fuck up,
career.
dude? Like, "Ah."
I'm trying to be my next producer.
So I happen to have a cowboy hat. I have the beard. I don't shop at Costco, but I could. I
You
could
could
shop. I could
reenact
be
this whole part of my life.
Speaking of producers, are you using like a specific producer for the new stuff, or you just been using the same one throughout the whole stuff? Like, how does
I've been
that
using a
work?
few different people, to be honest, because I've been like, I don't know, I'm trying to branch out. I've been doing a lot of producing myself. So I kind of will do like a nice little chunk, bring it to someone, we flesh it out, and then sometimes I just go and we start from scratch. Like, if y'all know Nate Pfeiffer.
Oh yeah,
I recently did a couple songs with him. Tyler from Future Ex-Boyfriend, he produced a song for me. And then one of my friends that has just done, like he did, Uninspired and like Sad Bitch, and those songs, we still work together.
So that's cool because I feel like a lot of people are doing that now where everything's kind of more accessible, where you kind of get the skeleton together at your own place, your own studio, whatever. You do your own thing and then bring that and then just like, like where can we take this from here? I feel like we do the same kind of thing, and a lot of people are doing that these days just because it's so like, why wouldn't you? All
Yeah.
the tools are at your hands to computer. All you need is a laptop and like whatever else. Why wouldn't you do? I mean,
Yeah.
why would you get in a contract with just get with a weird dude from
Why
Costco?
would you do that? No,
Yeah, I mean,
but
back then, not everybody was into home recording then.
no, I didn't even know where to start. Like I had Ableton Lite when I was like 19, and so I started messing with it, but I didn't know anything about production or EQ or,
Yeah, there's a
or
lot
nothing.
to it, isn't it?
But I actually had a cool opportunity. There's this studio in Cottonwood Heights that does some work for like Warner Brothers.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So they do some work for Warner Brothers and Capitol Records and stuff, and like some of like different soundtracks and whatnot. And I got to kind of be there in an intern capacity for a while.
Okay.
I also wrote a few things with them, which was great. And that got me up to speed really quickly. And then one of my friends that is now my vocal engineer, he had me intern in some of his sessions. And so I learned all about that aspect of like engineering through that, and then figured out the rest on my own.
I don't. Yeah, I can't do any of that. I've. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, no, thank you. I get frustrated. It's just it's so complicated. It's like I'd rather not. I'd rather let someone else do it, and I'll.
Well, it
have
is
fun.
nice to like. That's what I've enjoyed about the process of this last record is that, like, you can kind of just be more in the creative space than kind of like making sure everything's going right. Like, you can kind of step away and just be part of the music more than like being involved, because that does take a little bit of like the fun out of it.
Is that kind of how it is for you as well? That's why you'll like kind of do the skeleton and then bring it to somebody else kind of thing too?
Well, so Crushed Velvet, me and my friend Jay, we produced that entirely on our own. I actually did all the mixing and mastering.
No way! That's awesome.
I did, but holy hell, I would never do that again.
You're like, I took it out of me.
Oh my God, it did. And
It's
it
a
was
lot.
like so frustrating. Like when you're adjusting things by like half a decibel and you're like,
is anyone even going to hear this?
No, literally, but I
That's
hear
the
it
memes,
because
that's the
I've been
jokes.
hearing it for 12 hours. So I'm just like, oh my God. So
Fry your brain kind of work, yeah.
absolutely. So, I'm like pretty happy with it. Like I feel like I'm better at engineering now, but you can tell I put a lot of love into it. And so I'm very proud of it. And I love all of those songs, but I would never, ever
never
produce
put
and
that on
mix and
yourself again.
master ever again. I don't even think I would mix and master something like
someone
to
else's
its
work or
completion.
anything.
Yeah, because there are
Yeah.
other people where that's their whole thing, and they're so much better and faster. And like my whole thing is like writing music, so I might as well do that, do some arrangement, and then I can just give it to somebody else.
That's what I enjoy as well.
Yeah.
The other bits is where it like becomes not fun for me.
That's fair.
I would quit. I mean, I applaud you for even getting through that, because there's no way I would even. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to listen to myself for an hour, let alone 9 hours doing the decibel thing. Yeah, no thanks.
No, it was gnarly because just trying to EQ like really low synths and stuff so they don't interfere with the bass and everything else. Yeah, it was just a mess.
He knows, he knows what you're talking about. I don't.
Well, you never. It's hard to finish stuff that way too. I feel like I suffer from the same thing, because then you
Oh,
always know
yes.
that you can just like walk in, sit and tweak
So you
things
never
more
finish
and more, and you never
anything.
finish it, you never
Yes,
put anything
yeah.
out. So
I think when I did try to do GarageBand or whatever, it was the same kind of thing. I don't know if you got this or anything, but where I'd like start something and then you're like, well, I have the ability to finish it whenever, so I never would finish it. Versus if you're like, you take the skeleton to somebody, you're like, okay, well, we have this time to finish it. Might as was work on it. Is it that kind of way for you as well? It kind of puts like a way, like, we got to finish it. We're working on it together,
I
with
always
time
want
or
to
whatever.
finish things. So like I can't like rest until something is finished. So that has never been an issue for me. My issue is just like I don't know, work-life balance. Like if it's readily accessible, I have to some days be like, we're not going to sit down and work on this song, because then it's going to be 8 hours and I haven't done freaking anything, and it's dark outside and my boyfriend's going to come home and be like, did you eat? And I'm just like, no.
Oh,
no, but the
you're
snare
that
sounds
guy.
great.
So,
Literally.
you saying that kind of makes me think, like, what drives you? Like, what's the inspiration behind like just working so hard? Because you seem like you're always working super hard, putting out music, playing shows. Like, I mean, TikTok and stuff. I feel like that takes a lot out of doing stuff because. I mean, it's kind of the way of the world, but I feel like social media is so draining.
It definitely can be. I think for me, it's like, so one, if I'm not inspired, if I'm not there, I just don't. Like, I'll have 5 lazy days in a row if I need to. And then I'll have like 4 weeks of insane productivity.
So you like get all the content and that kind of stuff then, and you kind of have your...
Yeah, or just like in the moment or whatever. And I like, people don't notice when you don't post, but they do notice if you post something that's like bad or kind of out of pocket or like
Yeah, I
for the
guess
sake
that's
of
true.
posting.
Yeah.
And there's this idea that, you need to always be posting. And I just don't agree with that. And I feel like what I've seen from what I've done is that it's more effective to just make better stuff. So like my drive...
Quality over quantity.
No, absolutely. But I think like my drive, I just feel pulled to it, you know? Like, none of this is forced for me. I think there are times where I've done things that weren't as authentic because I felt like I should, and then it was forced, and it was hard to finish things. But because I'm always so motivated to only do things that are like bringing me joy and fulfillment, and while keeping in mind the business aspect of it, I just genuinely want to do it all the time. And I couldn't tell you why. It's just like this intrinsic like driving force to do it. Yeah.
I get that where it's like the only way I can describe it is like I really I feel happy when I create things. So I like to create, and I like to create all the time. Is it that kind of way for you as well?
Yep. I just have to be creating something, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be music. Like I did start doing comedy and stuff, and I found that I enjoy that just as much.
No way. Are you doing stand up at Wise Guys?
No. Well, so it started on the internet. So a lot of my internet stuff is comedy, but I have now put together a tight 10. I'm gonna
I am so jealous. That is so cool. I've always talked
scared,
about. I always joke about like I just need to get that tight 5. This isn't the tight 5.
Yeah.
I know Wise Guys does like the bucket list show where you can go up and but it's scary.
Yeah, someone asked me to do a set there, and I was like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Okay, let me get my bearings. I'll figure it out."
Oh my! I would love to see that though, because I just anybody. I love comedy so much. Anybody I know, if they're gonna do stand up, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Please do. I mean, it's gonna be terrifying. Like for whatever reason, I'm totally fine like gyrating on stage singing, but the thought of just talking on stage like in a humorous manner is significantly more terrifying. Because you say something you think is funny, and then it's just dead silence. You're like,
it's the worst feeling.
I'm gonna leave.
At least music, like the song just keeps going, and you're like, all right, at least I know where I'm going now.
I hate having to do banter. Like in between songs or whatever else. I hate banter. Are you good with banter?
I'm pretty good. It's always like weird and kind of like I'll say something really strange and there will be a pause and then people are like, haha. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I don't like is like, because if you're going to do comedy, you're going to bomb.
Oh, eventually. I mean, I've bombed singing. Yeah.
Just start throwing your jokes into your set and then you can kind of test them.
I found a few that actually work like every time. So
there you go.
So I was in Costco the other day.
So I was in Costco. That's going to be part of my brand.
That will be canon now because like people will watch this episode and then be like,
how cool would that be though if you got sponsored by, or the podcast got sponsored by Costco?
I don't know how family friendly I am, but I have this whole bit about being the hottest person in Home Depot. It's a joke, but it's like I call it Ho Depot. But we could do Cost Ho, maybe. We'll see.
Right, this needs to be a bit. Yeah,
I love it. I'm into it.
I was going to make a comment earlier that I feel like because you kind of allow yourself to not, like, if you're not feeling inspired, you don't have to do it. Then it doesn't ever turn into like a job or a chore. And so you're never like, to me, when things start to become like that, then I'm like hesitant to kind of get into it because then it's just work. It turns into more of a job.
Yes.
So if you just allow yourself to not have to do it when you're not inspired, then you always want to do it.
Exactly. And I mean, there are like caveats to that, like the business stuff. I'm not always in the mood to do that, but it'll be time sensitive. So I just freaking have to. And that's where discipline comes into play. Yeah. But in terms of the actual creation, I don't force it. And you're right. It just doesn't feel like a job at that point. Yeah.
I was thinking about the business side of it. It made me sad.
I've learned to love it. I took I allegedly
it's a slippery slope library theft.
So Pirate Bay.
So I allegedly consumed a business marketing class that I wasn't enrolled in, and that helped me so much. Like
you could just lie and say that you paid for it.
I don't know how to lie.
I'm sorry. So anyways, I torrented it.
No, it's fine. I mean, there's no evidence. That computer doesn't exist anymore, but that sounds really sinister. But anyway, so
I drilled holes through that hard drive.
Anyway, I consumed that class. It was freaking great, and I actually found that like if I separate like me from like my image as an artist and look at it like once I'm outside of creation mode, I look at it like in an analytical sense, I actually really enjoy that as well. But I had a hard time with the business side for so long when I was viewing like my public image and my art as literally me. because it was so hard to separate myself from every mode of marketing, and it was holding me back because then I wasn't making choices that I should have been making. And so separating myself from it a little bit, looking at it as an embellished version of myself that I can tweak and manipulate a little bit if I need to, made the business side a lot more enjoyable.
I think that's great advice for any other artists or bands listening. I think, because
Change the game for me.
Never thought about it that way. Yeah, because I just think about it as like, this is the stupid shit I have to do what I want to do. Like it's the, just like what I was saying yesterday, like setting up the equipment and taking down the equipment. That's the shit that you hate doing, but you have to do that to play the show.
Yeah,
because you like playing the show, but you don't want to set up your shit or tear it down after. So, especially drummers.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, I know.
The drums. Ooh.
I'm there. Drums. Drums. So we have to look forward to the new music, the new shows 2023. Is there anything else you want to like talk about or plug or I mean, obviously you got a cool TikTok.
I do have a cool TikTok if you want to check that out.
Just don't be a creep, you know?
If you're my family, don't check it out, please. No, okay, seriously though. So I recently have been getting like closer to my extended family, and I was hanging out with my aunt and uncle, and I was telling them about my TikTok, and I'm like, don't watch it. I'm like, I guarantee on everyone's life that you're going to be really upset watching this because it's just so suggestive and weird, and like people in their 70s are not going to understand.
Yeah, they're not going to understand.
No, like my dad has had so many heart attacks over it, but I told them, I'm like, don't look. My auntie looked at it. She's way more open-minded, and she was just kind of like, yeah, like my husband definitely should not look at this. And so she told him that. And one day, supposedly, like late at night, he comes up with his iPad and he's like, it's worse than we ever could have imagined. And she's like, I told you not to look at it. And that makes it sound horrible. It's really just like saucy jokes. But
so they just, I mean, it's just comedy changes over time.
Yeah.
Like I love the Beatles, but you like see them like being kind of funny, and some bits are really funny, but it's like the humor's different just for the time changes. And obviously for us, our generation, that humor makes sense.
Yeah.
But for them, it's like hard for them to wrap their head around.
No, literally, like
especially if there's the religious aspect.
Well, so they're not actually religious at all, and they're super liberal, but they're just older, you know. So it's like,
well, yeah.
he feels some type of way about it, and I'm like his niece, you know. So kind of weird. But no, yeah, well, like I get it because, you know, I use that sexy voice. I don't know if you guys ever heard the TikTok videos where it's like, she pisses when she farts. Sometimes she sharts. No. Did you hear that? It's just this cowboy, and he has like a voice like modulator on. He's like, she pisses when she farts.
I need to get into TikTok more. I usually just use it to post our own stuff, and that's like
it's insane. But I said that in a sexy voice, like, she pisses when she farts.
And that's the one she's holding on the iPad?
Yeah, that was the one he saw.
Oh my God.
My dad also lost his mind.
I love
to
that story.
One.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's good. I love it. You're like, but did you have to explain like this isn't my joke? I'm just redoing the joke.
Yes, I did explain, and they were like, "Oh, I guess we're just old." And I'm like, that's okay though.
It's okay.
But like, don't come at me like. My dad messaged me at 3 a.m, and he was like worried for my eternal soul, and I'm like, okay, we need to have a conversation, and I just laid it out. I'm like, it's a meme. I am repeating another joke that someone else is repeating. And he's like, okay, I get it, I guess.
I think that's so funny, and that should make it into your way to the tight 10. Like you telling about that. I think that right there is like your bread and butter. Like that's got to be a story in your comedy.
Oh yeah, I've already thought about that.
That is so funny. And then also you explaining like she paces when she farts. Like that's so good. That's got to be in your type 5 or when you get up to 30-minute set, whatever it is.
Yeah, one day we'll see. I mean, I gotta get at least one open mic under my belt.
I guess just keep that in mind. I think that's a good story for sure.
That's great.
Oh my God, yeah, just the image of like a 7-year-old with an iPad. She pisses when she farts. Like I love that. That's so funny.
So much worse.
That's so funny. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking with you, meeting you, and getting to hear your story. Did you want to plug your socials, like TikToks and everything else?
Yes. So all of my stuff is under Cera Gibson, Cera, like Michael Cera, Gibson like guitar. You can find me on literally everything. Please do.
I was going to say, I'm actually jealous of your last name. Like, as a kid, I would change all my emails and stuff because I love Gibson guitars as well. So I always wanted my name to be Gibson, so I'm jealous.
It's pretty sick. My dad was always saying that I was like born into a Gibson sponsorship, so we'll see what happens.
You guys heard it. Sponsor her.
Do a girl a solid.
What did you say? Ho Depot and
Costco.
Costco.
Ho Depot and Costco.
I love it. Love it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great.
We'll see you at your next show.
Yes, badass. Thank you for listening to You Guys Shred.